as we wait for one of our last episodes, it's a longer one, our channeled guidance to get ready to be published, I'm gonna use a little bit more of my lovely 5D Collective's time to chit chat about a lot of things. So one, I use words randomly, and sometimes I make statements that will tomorrow be opposite of today, and so on and so forth. So FYI, that actively takes place with those of us in the Enlightenment Soul Age group, and it's because I can explain it. I'm an inner child adult, and I feel first, and I don't think actively. I use words. So I was actively going to post an episode, but I used... we have no not self-serving. Anyways, I used the word wrong, and I was like, shit, if I post this, it's going to completely ruin what I'm trying to talk about. I can't. So FYI, though, you will probably, those of you who will regularly tune in and watch, understand that and know, because anyone who gets to know me at first, they're like, okay, wait, you use words a lot differently than I do. No, not everybody, but some do. And actively, though, as you get to know people, that's the beauty. We get to learn about each other's love language. So Maria makes up words a lot. No, I don't. But then again, I do. I am a creator and I'm a creative, which is one of the reasons why I love being an online marketer, an entrepreneur, and a content creator. I chose not to be in academia when I started to write the Inner Growth Mindset book, because I said, I'm not trying to prove the mindset. I know it works. I've used it. And it helps people on their self-help journey. And now that I'm attachment trauma informed, I know even better how to share with you why mindful living and life works for people who are mindful. So we don't whine about our emotions like the Zen master. And actively, as a mystic in the Enlightenment Soul Age group, I know of spirituality soul age groups. They keep learning about the self through that age group. And the enlightenment, we just know ourself and our body and our mind, so we keep learning. Anytime something comes up, I'm like, oh, look, I learned another part about Maria. So the part is the love affair. Remember, we have it with ourselves, and then we get to be vulnerable, open, and we get to have what are amazing in-depth relationships. And that's what I want to continue talking a little bit about. So being able to be present in your relationships means that you're able to be curious, open, accepting, and loving of yourself and then of others with our lovely flaws and imperfections. And I do tend to use adjectives that embellish because I love life. And so see, I'm actively aware of that. And I'm actively choosing it on purpose because I actively choose the words I use. And they match the feelings I feel. That's why the Zen master, he used laundry with sadness. That matches how he feels about sadness, not how I feel. I don't feel sad like laundry. I will actively just know sad as sad. You know what I want when I get sad? I want a hug. I only want a hug. And here's where the people who know me, like my lovely little sister, she sent me this video. It's a clip from this cartoon, Migration. She hasn't watched it yet. I have. And I'm totally the hugger of the group. So there's, if you haven't watched it, I don't remember all of it, but basically there's two siblings, and one turns to the one who's angry and says, you're mad, you need a hug. And I've learned how to ask about hugs, but I am a hugger. That's one of the reasons why I love Naples, Italy, the south of Italy, but Naples particularly. I'm going to tell you, I have a buttload of experience here. I have my lovely, very passionate human beings. So yes, there's no comparison. And I am biased, though. So remember, I'm of part because my heritage comes from here. So it's one of those things where I'm saying it because that's how I feel, not because it's an irrefutable fact. Okay? So this is what it means to be a mindful person. And then when you're around grown human beings, we can laugh together and say, you're a shit, or you're a shit. And we actively don't take anything in a way of, how dare they say that? And so we can also gossip together about, can you believe they don't find this? So we can do that thing called cultural differences, and ew, and then no, and then and nobody's like, oh my God, how dare they do all this? So this is what I'm trying to get to, is grown-ups don't do any of what I did see in academia, and then that I see out there with those who are actively narrow states of consciousness. And we're going to leave them to the side. Hopefully, we'll be able to speak again. We're starting, you see, right now. We get to start, and I'm getting to explain it. Okay, so here's where being able to be in the fetal position is not something embarrassing for anyone. that knows sadness, Zen master, please. You might want to work with your prefrontal cortex whenever you get sad again. I know the world is not actually looking good, but it is good. If you know of your relationship with Akash, God, I don't know what you call it, and then you're going to know life is going to keep living. So here's what a feminine who's connected to feminine, which means to that of creation, will know, is that life is going to keep on expanding. The biologist and anyone that talks to you about living organisms informs you of the lie of self-destruction. The only people who actively continue in rigidity, again, narrow states of consciousness, let me push them all to the side as they bring out their problems for every single one of the beautiful things we get to say about our life here. Okay, and so when it comes to our relationships, we will always say yes to love, and we will definitely know the difference between that which is lust from the visceral plane of people who are not in a love button. Okay, so there are those human beings who navigate the unfortunate business of a 1 to 3 year old shame defectiveness, and they don't get healed, and then they are a maladaptive child pattern behavior, the drinking, drugging, fucking, and the ones who look pretty in pretty suits, they might be included. So don't let the suit fool you, because the way that you'll know the people who have healthy self-worth and that are true lovers is the level of flexibility, adaptability, coherence, and energized and stability that they bring. It means that they are a soft-spoken human being who can get very passionate, but they will maintain a restorative embodiment, self-aware, accountable, and regulating embodied person, and they will stand like this, and they will learn. Thanks to our oversoul, we actively learn this more and more and more. Okay, so mental and emotional mastery and physical, they come. I'm an Akashic record reader as you become one with what we are all a part of. And so this is what a feminine of her own oversoul, right now I'm talking as the feminine, I'm my feminine, and I have masculines. They complement me very well. And they bring me they have challenges and surprises and a lot of different things that I will have shared in our past episodes differently, that I will share again differently and differently again, and they will always involve different emotions. And they will always be something that are flexible. The ones who want to take it and say, yesterday you said A, Maria. So you meant A, you changed. Those are the people who I say, sure, whatever. Yeah, I changed, whatever. Because anyone who's wanting to bring you something like that is a left-brainer, is what I'm going to call them. It's basically the ego of a person who's presenting to me something from their perspective. I'm going to hear you out, 3-year-old. You want to share with me your story? Good for you. I'm not you. My body is this. My heart is this. My mind is this. I choose me. And smart people inform you the self-abuse is a verb. Thanks, Dr. Dan Siegel. And mine is a whole. Mine is a whole self. So she's consistently expanding from the foundation of my 1-year-old and 3-year-old, because I did not get the shame brokenness. You actively can only make me maybe sad. Mad, not really. Mad I have gotten, but it's something we can talk about some other day. Sad, again, it's not laundry. So here's what you'll know as a feminine, without even knowing it, that you get to expand the two sides of the emotional plane. So I did know about my emotional mastery with my twin flames. The first one got me to complete pretty much all of it. As the second rolled on in, I was finishing it up, and then I got the third, and I got, whammy, no boxing gloves. Actively, that's not how it works. For feminine, it's more of, I knew about 1, I knew about 2, shit, who are you? Wow, that's amazing. And then I found my soulmates. And then I got my rainbow heart back. And then I got to find out that there's earth babies. And then I got to find out a lot more of my past lives besides my future life. Okay, so as I got to uncover the clairs, I got to be busy with this amazing journey. Okay, so being able to know the mental and emotional mastery is happening. It's straightforward, which is why we don't need a coach, because we're not obsessing over anyone. The individuals who tell you that they have agony because they actively don't own the left and the right together. So what they need is to go and get that inner child in the therapist's room reparented. Once they have gotten out of the not internally securely attached, I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, whatever, all that stuff that I see people. So once that has happened, which is why the one person who calls 5D mystics and or anybody who's basically not what he thinks we should be, he calls us bad therapists. This is because he wants to, one, prove the twin flame thing. So he's on a journey and a mission. He's a good coach, but it's funny that he'll call names those other people who are actively supporting people with twin flames. I mean, you don't have to. Then again, I get it. He likes to tease, so anybody I tease too, right? Okay, so anyways, what I'm trying to get to is about the beauty of emotions. So the people, you'll hear some on masculine and feminine in our channeled guidance when it comes out, so I'm not going to talk about that too much, but I'm going to break it down to Maria's way, because I've met many people who actively did not appreciate in a specific way what is their connection, but it's not because they didn't appreciate it. They didn't learn to embody their human journey. That's what I see with my eyes and hear with my ears. So whenever I've seen people post about the amazing twin flame, putting them on a pedestal, there are moments where you realize how you're expanding thanks to the people in your life. And so that's why they make an impact, because you're expanding. So you will find yourself expanded. So that's what mesmerizes you. In fact, it's amazing. I still remember my clairs expanding, and the panic attacks are the worst part of it. But then the Kundalini awakening, now that I found out in a very specific way. That's pretty awesome. And I had some more clairs activate. And then I'm using the same words because I don't want to give it away. All I can tell you is the part that is the most disappointing is the lack of capacity to be able and share the depth of the experience, because the masculines of every oversoul, they will tend to, for this feminine, because again, we have some masculines that have clairs, as you'll hear again in the channel guidance, but they don't want a relationship with their unconscious, subconscious, because they need to first get home to their open heart and to accept and become a whole masculine. Okay, so when you have a masculine who's a divine masculine in the making, it's because they're welcoming themselves back home. That's twin flame, soulmate, doesn't matter, okay? And so until the day that they will, however long it takes them to forgive all and move into healthy self-worth, men, women days, that's, again, externally sharing with you that. But even if that happens, the part about mysticism in our clairs, in our past lives, and as an Akashic record reader and somebody who channels, the masculines, they actively find it woo-woo. Okay, so they'll dismiss it. They dismiss these experiences. I've had one actually, excuse me. I've had one of my lovely oversoul. That's the person who's my rainbow heart. They gave me my rainbow heart. And I remember the day that I knew. I said to him and I, in my head though, we're gonna be having some nice things to bring each other to a next level for each other. And I remember being able to finally look and then pause and say, wow, did you realize what you got to get in these years? And that's because of the bond that this is. So this is the part of where if you are a solo poly secure person, you'll know how to talk with men, women, and days about this aspect of you. Because for a mystic in the Enlightenment Soul Age group, at the very least, we are not dismissing that which is our expanding journey. One, we're not ashamed of it either. Two, there's nothing to be ashamed of when it comes to loving. Three, your bonds are actively created. So again, I am an intuitive. They are actively on, and I will know it, like I just described to you. The ones that are more subtle, there's few, but there's reasons for them. We don't stop to say, oh no, I didn't know something, that. No, we know that we get to meet new people of our oversoul. And once we do get to meet, we will also, if we get, I've gotten people who have, what's it called? Once they hear the stories, they ask, so what am I? So they want to know what they are to you. I will know immediately, but usually it's if you catch me off guard, and then I'm like, oh shit, it's kind of like what I say. Obviously, I don't lie, so I tell the truth, meaning that any person who's authentic isn't going to be nice. I'm not going to be nice to you because I want to make sure not to, quote unquote, hurt your feelings. So this is that part of where when people say, men or women, it's hard to go out and to try and make new and meet new people. No, it's not. But don't expect for people to lie to you either, So I'm a firm believer, and anyone with healthy self-worth, they won't lie to you. They won't make up. And a mystic too. So long story short, though, when they catch you off guard, it's usually because the question is going to involve something that is, do you like me in this way? No, actively. No, not really. But I enjoy the company, I enjoy the exchange. And this has happened in the past again. So plenty of people that I get to chit chat throughout my 44 years of life. Just FYI, not twin flames, not the soulmates that I'm mentioning every now and then. No, those are direct communications. In fact, actively, they are solidified relationships because feminine doesn't chase and nobody runs. It's active communication where recalibration takes place and meets. That's what love is. I meet you where you're telling me you want me to meet you, and I have created what is a functional adult conversation on the end of a healthy self-worth human being. And so the ones who go through agony, that's because they are not functional adults yet. And that's why I mentioned the inner child needs reparenting, therapy first, get a hold of yourself, get healthy self-worth, learn to love yourself first, and then you're ready to go. And that's your first spirituality awakening mission, by the way. But obviously, that's where those coaches, they are completely talking about a lot of other things that makes the twin flame journey into group. So we have a herd who has a group, who then wants to describe their emotions as agony and their thoughts. You see what I'm saying? So they're not mindfully living just yet, although they think they are. And that's because they are part of a group that uses the words. I can share with you what mindfully living is. So I have twin flame 1, 2, 3. I acknowledge all three in different ways. Downloads, bonds, picking them up, and my soulmates. Not destabilized. I'm getting my mental and emotional body expanded. I know it immediately as it's happening because the download is this. It's not a word. You don't need words. Left mode wants words. Not using words, using sensations. I know what's happening. And I'm fine and I'm good and I'm expanding. Everything else keeps rolling, and that's it. And that's where the vulnerability, it doesn't actively come to stop, but there is learning. So I got to learn how not to talk to all people about my clairs, especially those who I have a bond with, because the bond is there for a reason, but what is being picked up is the unconscious subconscious. And if those human beings are not actively in a relationship with that unconscious subconscious, and that means they're not ready to talk from the depths of their hearts, and that they're actively not looking themselves in the mirror, if you will, okay? So that is why you learn how to disengage from all of that. I did, at least. And that doesn't mean not being vulnerable. It means simply learning how to gauge those relationships and to leave alone the people who don't believe in mysticism, by the way, and spirituality, because, well, again, you don't want to bore them. But, and I'll use this, since it is something I embody. If you are going to be in a relationship with me and you don't believe and you dismiss, I know we're not ever going to be able to do the depths of the relationship, because you actively are cutting a part of me out of what you are interested in. So you will not, it's not because you have to, it's that this is a part of my experience on a daily basis. I'm actively a channeler. I'm actively a mystic. I'm actively a person of faith. I always have been, even though today it goes expanded beyond those words. And, again, so you say no to it, you dismiss it, you don't have any awe or wonder about it. You don't have any awe or wonder about me. And it's not something that is personal. A grown human being with healthy self-worth, who's internally securely attached, isn't going to take it personally. It's going to be a bummer, because that's going to make me sad, because sadness is about connection. And I'm not going to be able to connect to you on a deeper level, because you actively are not going to connect with me on a deeper level, because you dismiss a part of what is my human being experience. You don't have to be spiritual, but I am. You don't have to be mystic, but I am. You don't have to experience clears, but I do. And it's not something to be ashamed of or to be proud of necessarily, or to flaunt around like a mantle. Okay, so this is the part of where being vulnerable is the most beautiful of gifts that you can have. When I have my mystic friends and I get to share things that take place from that depth, I love it. It's amazing. And that is the part that is sad, for example. So here with our oversoul, those masculines, because they equally all have only, again, one of them. And I also know why that one is the one that was immediately open to all of it. And it's really it's beautiful. So when you're able to know your own story, mystic feminines, you will know it because you see your past lives, you know where those bonds were created. This is called past life regression. So like this, one of these soulmates that I'm talking about, I know how they began, when they began, why they began, how we continued, and how we evolved, and how it will continue. And it's amazing. And I did share a little bit with you on that. So here, I'll close it out with one. Any person who's a feminine will always say yes to emotions. That's why we don't get lost. For the twin flame thing, if you're 5D mystic, then you will know what I'm talking about. And if not, it's okay. You don't have to. There's plenty of coaches out there that help you with the agony and all that. I got the name of one of them for you. 3, when you experience your bonds, that's magical. It is not going to be ever something you're afraid of, because you'll know that they're part of you and you're part of them, and that there's, again, the energy, not good or bad, not evil, or again, none of that. It's a energetic imprint. And really what it is either they're vibing on neutrality and above and enlightenment, or they're going to be beneath it, and you get used to being around the ones who are in shame because they don't go and get their active inner child up to par, so that they can then do mindful, functional adult life and be here with us and have fun with each other. Okay? From here and here, open as ourselves. Polyamory, monoamory, don't matter. So you always will say yes to love. This rabbi who says the feminine doesn't like to start something new, he is a masculine and he doesn't know what he's talking about. But I understand, because he doesn't know of the feminines who will share what I'm about to share, which is, again, we actively do not get lost on our spirituality awakening journey, because that means you being yourself from your inner child as an adult, a whole self. So it's self-empowered human being with an integrated brain and a restorative embodiment self, and that's called Maria. With all my child parts, they're uncharged, and I have confidence, healthy self-worth, and an open heart that is equanimous. No ill will. Doesn't mean I don't get frustrated and I got all of it, but I know how to harness it, and I know if I want to allow myself to get there or not, because I'm allowing myself, because I'm the master of myself, and I know myself, which also means I know where I am triggerable, which is why there's only a handful of people, and actively, not even, there's actively in my lifetime 2. 2 to the extent that I know is better. You know, here's the thing about a feminine. We like to maintain composure because we actively are aware of that, which is you and I are different people. So we have subjective experiences, and it's best and nice to be able to talk like to human beings, you know? Okay, so there's this beautiful composure that comes from having the emotional mastery, and all of the emotions, you harness them to your volition, not the other way around, which is why when you have those, so for me, the 2, learning was a great opportunity and still is. And I knew that out of the 2 that I was being given the most amazing opportunity ever to become more of that I've always wanted to become. Which is why nobody gets on a pedestal, though, because we are healthy self-worth. So we each contribute. I want to remind that, too. I don't say it enough. We are collective. I don't do anything alone. Like my smart masculines like to share with me. I forget to mention it because it just doesn't come to my brain to say it, because it's like, duh, I'm not alone here. Of course, I'm living life, true spirituality of meaning, connection, beyond the solo self. So we all can seem self-serving. We all can seem selfless at the same. We all don't need to do any of that if we are actively doing the best we can without wanting and expecting anything, because we understand the best we can with imperfection. Meaning I'm not going to be able to do everything good. I'm not going to expect myself to. I am human. I'm a weak human, just like anybody else. I can be a strong human. Okay, so we know that we give and contribute to each other a lot of expansion. And to conclude, we will never say no to love. And we will always know, if it's true love, it is going to tangibly move with us and to the depths of the being of us. And so it's really fun. And your oversoul, for the feminine, we actively know who our masculines are and their potential. And we know when they are happy where they're at, and when instead they're still on a journey and expanding. And that's why what we love more than anything is that we are on our toes. Rabbi, who doesn't know that a feminine, knows already that anything that is in our energy sphere, it's awesome. And that true masculine, like true feminine, are people who use their 2 hands and 2 feet to create. Because that's exactly how we do life, is by being involved. And so you talk, you feel, you walk, and you don't do a ziggity zag. No, it's a consistent expansion together. And that's why there's not stages necessarily. There's more than anything for any person. Do you love yourself first or not? Get to love yourself first. Become an inner child adult. Find out how amazing it is to have internal secure attachment. And then you're going to end up with a gazillion beautiful, a gazillion is a big number, but you're going to have a lot of beautiful connections. I have expanded my oversoul, not made it smaller. Nope, more love, not less. It's fun. So we'll be back tomorrow with more. In the meantime, I will have that channeled guidance up either later on or tomorrow. Depends how long it takes to get converted. And in the meantime, you'll have this one though. So have a wonderful evening. Like, share, and subscribe. We'll be back soon.